I fight all the time to not always have him so mean and obviously bad, to try to show other colors.
At one time, Mickey Rourke was everywhere. A rising star with raw talent and a face Hollywood couldn't ignore. He had the fame, the money, and the kind of roles most actors only dream about. But then, everything began to slip away. Bad choices, broken relationships, a career that took sharp turns. Mickey walked away from Hollywood at his peak and stepped into the brutal world of boxing, a decision that would change his life forever. His looks changed, his money disappeared, and the spotlight moved on. Now, at 73, Mickey Rourke's life looks very different, but his story is far from over. Join us as we take a look at his life from the very beginning and see him now after losing all his money. A rough start: home, hurt, and survival. Philip Andre Mickey Rourke Jr. was born on September 16, 1952, in Schenectady, New York. He has Irish and French ancestry. He was raised Catholic, and he still practices his faith. When Mickey was around 6 years old, his father left the family. After the divorce, his mother married Eugene Addis, a Miami Beach police officer with 5 sons, and she moved Mickey and his 2 younger siblings to South Florida. Mickey later said his stepfather was physically abusive to him and to his mother, and he carried that anger for years. He once put it like this: "My stepfather used to crack my head just because he felt like it. He was big, very big, and mean, and he was physically abusive to my mother. I hated the her for hurting her, for making her afraid." He also said there was a community services center in the neighborhood to keep kids out of trouble, and that's where he first found a speed punching bag. He explained why it mattered so much. "To me, it represented a ticket to manhood. This part matters because it shows what he was chasing long before fame. He wanted to feel strong. He wanted to defend himself. He wanted to protect the people he loved." He graduated from Miami Beach Senior High School in 1971, but his real education was already happening, and it was pushing him toward the ring, where he would win, get hurt, and start a pattern that followed him for decades. The fighter first, wins, injuries, and a costly return. As a teenager, Mickey focused mostly on sports. He took self-defense training at the Boys Club of Miami. That's where he learned boxing and decided to chase an amateur career. At age 12, he won his first match as a 112-pound flyweight, and he even fought under the name Phil Rourke in some early bouts. He trained at the famous 5th Street Gym in Miami Beach, Florida, and he took it seriously. In 1969, when he weighed 140 pounds, he sparred with former world welterweight champion Luis Rodriguez. Rodriguez was the #1 rated middleweight in the world and was training for a match with world champion Nino Benvenuti. Mickey said he got a concussion from that sparring. Then, at the 1971 Florida Golden Gloves, he suffered another concussion, and doctors told him to take a year off and rest. He temporarily retired, but his amateur run was still strong. From 1964 to 1973, he built a record of 27 wins, including 12 straight knockouts and 3 defeats, including a first-round knockout over John Carver and decision wins over Ronnie Carter and Javier Villanueva. Years later, in 1991, he decided he had to go back to boxing because he felt he was spiraling and had no respect for himself as an actor. He went pro and stayed undefeated in 8 fights, with 6 wins and 2 draws, fighting in places like Spain, Japan, and Germany. But the injuries stacked up fast: broken nose, toe, ribs, a split tongue, a compressed cheekbone, and even short-term memory loss. His main trainer was Chuck Zito, and Freddie Roach trained him for 7 fights. His walkout song was often Guns N' Roses' Sweet Child O' Mine, a detail that later connects to The Wrestler. Promoters said he was too old to reach the top level, and Mickey admitted boxing was a personal test because he wanted to push himself while he still had time. But that test came with a price, and it didn't just leave bruises. It changed how the world saw him when he tried to step back into Hollywood. The rise, big roles, and bigger mistakes. Mickey had acting in his life early, but it didn't start as the main plan. In 1971, while finishing high school, he had a small role in a school play called The Serpent. Soon after stepping back from boxing for a while, he landed a part in a play called Death Watch when another actor quit, and that's when acting truly grabbed him. He borrowed $400 from his sister, moved to New York, worked odd jobs, and trained with Walter Lott and Sandra Seacat. Mickey later said with Seacat, everything started to click, and she pushed him to find his father after more than 20 years apart. By the late 1970s, he was doing television films, then made his feature debut in Steven Spielberg's 1941 in 1979. He followed with Fade to Black in 1980, then got real attention in 1981 with Body Heat. In 1982, he earned strong praise as Boogie Sheftel in Barry Levinson's Diner, and the National Society of Film Critics named him Best Supporting Actor. From there, the 1980s turned him into a major name, with films like Rumble Fish and The Pope of Greenwich Village, then bigger roles that shaped his image. 9.5 Weeks made him a sex symbol. Barfly brought praise for his work as Henry Chinaski, and Year of the Dragon added to the rebel reputation people connected to him. In 1987, Angel Heart became one of his most talked-about performances, praised and also controversial. And director Adrian Lyne later said that if Mickey had died after that film, he would have become a bigger phenomenon than James Dean. Around this time, he also worked with David Bowie on Never Let Me Down, doing the rap on Shining Star, Makin' My Love. And he wrote his first screenplay, Homeboy, a boxing story he starred in. But then, the run started to wobble. Wild Orchid was panned and brought a Razzie nomination, and by 1991, he starred in Harley Davidson and The Marlboro Man, which bombed. Mickey later said he took the big payday anyway, bought a huge house he couldn't afford, and hated himself while making the film. People also described him as difficult to work with, and Alan Parker said working with him was a nightmare. There were also claims he turned down major roles, including one that later became Bruce Willis's part in Pulp Fiction. And that kind of decision can feel small in the moment, but huge later. Love and fallout, broken ties, and hard times. Mickey's personal life and career choices started to collide in a way that followed him for years. He dated several celebrities, including Terry Farrell and Sasha Volkova. He has been married twice and does not have children. In 1981, he married Deborah Foyer, whom he met on the set of the TV movie Hard Case, and she later co-starred with him in Homeboy as his love interest. The marriage ended in 1989, and Mickey later admitted that making 9.5 Weeks was not particularly considerate to my wife's needs. In 1992, he married Wild Orchid co-star Carey Otis. In 1994, he was arrested on suspicion of spousal abuse, though the charges were later dropped. They reconciled for a time and even starred together in Exit in Red, but the marriage ended in December 1998. While his private life was shifting, his career in the 1990s showed how far he had moved from his peak. After boxing, he took supporting roles in films like The Rainmaker, Buffalo 66, Animal Factory, The Pledge, and Get Carter. He also wrote films under the name Sir Eddie Cook, including Bullet, where he co-starred with Tupac Shakur. He was selected for a role in The Thin Red Line, but the part was cut. He appeared in Thursday, played a villain in Double Team, and later did another 9.5 weeks, plus smaller titles like Out in 50, Shades, and the TV film Shergar. Mickey said he felt like a has-been during that period and lived in a state of shame, and he linked that feeling back to his childhood, saying he spent a lifetime trying to forgive himself for not standing up to the man he was forced to call Daddy, even admitting, "I had a lot of shame." Then came the money reality that ties directly to the title. He told The Guardian that he lost the wife, the house, friends, and his name in the business. He said a friend helped him with food money, and he felt desperate and alone for years. Even controversy followed him, too. In May 1989, he revealed he donated most of his £1.5 million earnings from Francesco to support IRA member Joe Doherty's asylum campaign in the U.S., which drew criticism in England. When people look at Mickey Rourke at 73 now, the pieces that led to losing everything are right here, and the next chapters make that fall feel even sharper. The slow return, small roles, big hope. In the early 2000s, Mickey started showing up again, even if the parts were not huge at first. In 2001, he played the villain in Enrique Iglesias' music video Hero, with Jennifer Love Hewitt also appearing. In 2002, he took the role of the cook in Jonas Åkerlund's Spun, working again with Eric Roberts. He also worked with directors who would matter later, with smaller roles in Once Upon a Time in Mexico for Robert Rodriguez and Man on Fire for Tony Scott. Even with limited screen time, those directors saw something in him and later decided to give him bigger roles. Around this period, he also did other work outside films. In 2004, he voiced Jericho in the video game Driv 3R, and he appeared in a long photo story for Zoo magazine shot by Bryan Adams. As his acting became steady again, a writer even described his return as Mickey Rourke Rising, and big names like Johnny Depp, Sean Penn, and Brad Pitt openly praised him. During a Newsweek roundtable of Oscar-nominated actors, Brad Pitt called Mickey one of his early heroes, along with Sean Penn and Gary Oldman. Mickey also spoke honestly about his past, admitting he had made films he now saw as a creative sellout, like Harley Davidson and The Marlboro Man. But he said what he'd been through made him a better, more interesting actor. And he added, "My best work is still ahead of me." That sounds hopeful, but the real test was whether Hollywood would believe him again, and one role was about to flip the whole story. The turning point, back in the game. In 2005, Sin City became the turning point that put Mickey back in public favor, because he came back in a way people did not expect. He played Marv in Robert Rodriguez's adaptation of Frank Miller's Sin City, and it was not a small comeback. It was loud, clear, and right in the center of mainstream Hollywood again. That year, he picked up awards from the Chicago Film Critics Association, the IFTA, and the Online Film Critics Society, and he was even named Man of the Year by Total Film magazine. After that, he kept working and stayed visible. He took a supporting role in Tony Scott's Domino alongside Keira Knightley, playing a bounty hunter. He played the Blackbird in Killshot, and he appeared as Darius Sale in Stormbreaker. He also voiced work in games and stayed active in other projects, including more voice roles like True Crime, New York City, as Terrence Terry Higgins, which was his fifth and last work with Christopher Walken. This was also the era where Mickey's personal struggles did not vanish, but he learned how to keep moving while carrying them. In November 2007, he was arrested on DUI charges in Miami Beach, and in interviews, He said the reason he could even climb back after about 14 years was not one magic moment, but support systems, including his agent David A. Unger, weekly meetings with a psychiatrist he called Steve, a Catholic priest, Father Peter Colapietro, and his dogs. He had even been described as a real good Catholic by his late friend Tom Sizemore. The work was coming back, but the next step would demand something deeper than a tough guy image, because the role that followed would feel uncomfortably close to his real life. The wrestler: pain, praise, and survival. Then came The Wrestler, and it hit like a mirror. Mickey took a role in The Informers, playing Peter, a former studio security guard who plots to kidnap a small child. But in 2008, he became the lead in Darren Aronofsky's The Wrestler, a film that won the Golden Lion for Best Film at the Venice Film Festival. Mickey played Randy the Ram Robinson, a washed-up pro wrestler, and he even admitted that when he first read the screenplay, he didn't care for it. He explained it in his own words: "I didn't really care for the script, but I wanted to work with Darren. And he felt the dialogue did not sound real to him, so Darren let him rewrite his parts and then polished it." Mickey also said he felt hesitant about wrestling because he saw it as pre-arranged and pre-choreographed. But training changed his view. He said, "I kept getting hurt," and explained he had 3 MRIs in 2 months because he was not landing right. And once he got injured, he realized wrestlers truly suffer, and he gained respect for what they do. He trained under former WWE wrestler Alpha the Wild Samoan. The performance brought him a BAFTA, a Golden Globe, an Independent Spirit Award, and an Oscar nomination for Best Actor. He lost the Oscar to Sean Penn, but Penn acknowledged him in his acceptance speech. Around this same time, Mickey's love for dogs became a major part of his public story, and not in a cute way, but in a survival way. In his Golden Globe Best Actor speech on January 11, 2009, he said, "I'd like to thank all my dogs, the ones that are here, the ones that aren't here anymore." And he added that sometimes when a man is alone, all he has is his dog. That same day, he told Barbara Walters that everything fell apart years earlier, and when he was alone, the dogs were the ones still there. And that opens the door to the hardest part of his story. Because even with awards and praise, the money and stability did not stay locked in place. More roles, less control. The years after. After The Wrestler and the Oscar nomination, Mickey got big opportunities again, but the road still stayed messy. In early 2009, he became part of a WWE storyline feud with Chris Jericho that ended at WrestleMania 25, where Mickey knocked Jericho out with a left hook after Jericho won his match. That same year, he appeared in John Rich's Shuttin' Detroit Down music video alongside Chris Christopherson. And he voiced U.S. Navy SEAL Dick Marcinko in the video game Rogue Warrior. In 2010, he played the main villain Whiplash in Iron Man 2, and he said he prepared by visiting Russian jail inmates. In 2011, he played King Hyperion in Immortals and received praise, and he also appeared as Tool in The Expendables, where reviews still pointed to him as a standout even with limited screen time. He later said on a British talk show that he would play Gareth Thomas in a film, and explained that it would take serious research and 9 to 11 months of training before they could even make it. After that, he appeared in Java Heat, released in 2013, and in 2014, he returned as Marv in Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. But even as the roles kept coming, his appearance stayed part of the public conversation, and he addressed it directly in 2009 by admitting his changing looks were tied to botched facial surgery. Most of it was to mend the mess of my face because of the boxing, he said. But I went to the wrong guy to put my face back together. His personal life kept moving too, and from 2009 to 2015, he was in a relationship with Ukrainian-born German model Anastasia Makarenko. Through all of this, his dogs stayed at the center of how he explained survival and recovery. He called Loki the love of my life, and once spent $5,400 to fly her to England while he filmed Stormbreaker. He also described being in a dark place and looking at his dog Bojack like the dog was asking, "Who's going to take care of me?" He said he didn't have kids, so the dogs became everything. Later, in 2022, he said it plainly. "I started to self-destruct. My wife left me, my career was over, I had no money, but the dogs were always there." He repeated that no one knew how broke he was and that he was paying $500 a month for a one-bedroom apartment with a patio for his dogs. He even said on Alec Baldwin's podcast that if walking dogs paid the same as acting, he would never do another movie. But since it doesn't, he kept working, with 10 films pending release, including The Palace. Along the way, headlines still followed him, from political comments to public controversies. And even boxing returned one more time when he fought an exhibition bout in Moscow in 2014 and won in the second round by TKO, though the opponent later claimed he threw the fight. Put it all together, and the title makes more sense. The comeback was real, but money and peace were never guaranteed, and he kept trying to hold on to something steady while everything else threatened to slip again. A new stage and a public mess. By April 2025, Mickey Rourke's story had already stretched across more than 40 years. He had been a leading man, then ended up in box office flops, and later pulled off a dramatic comeback. That's why his move into the UK reality show Celebrity Big Brother looked like a fresh reset. Reports said he was the highest-paid housemate, and his star power was supposed to introduce him to a new generation. But it went in the opposite direction. After a series of incidents involving inappropriate language and unacceptable behavior, he was booted from the Celebrity Big Brother house. Because of what happened, he was expected to miss out on his reported £500,000 fee for appearing on the ITV show. Around the same time, there were also reports that he was warned by producers over comments aimed at housemate Jojo Siwa. Producers told him that further language or behavior like that could lead to removal. In one moment, he asked Siwa if she liked boys or girls. When she said, "girls," and explained her partner is non-binary, he replied, "If I stay longer than 4 days, you won't be gay anymore." She pushed back and told him she would still be gay and still happy. After the warning, he apologized and said he was talking smack and didn't mean bad intentions. And he also told Siwa, "I've got a habit of having a short fuse." Outside the house, even the launch night drew backlash, with viewers calling his behavior creepy after a tense moment involving presenter AJ, while others praised presenter Will Best for stepping in quickly. What looked like a clean next step became another public mess, and it raised a brutal question. If the comeback was shaky again, what did that mean for his money right now? My career is in the toilet. His real reason. Soon after, Mickey spoke about how he saw his own situation. He admitted his career was in the toilet, and he blamed it on his short temper and the reputation it created with directors. He said there are directors he wants to work with, and he wants them to trust him for who he is today, not who they think he used to be. He also owned his mistakes, saying, "I've made mistakes, many, I have nobody to blame for my ship sinking except myself. When he explained why he agreed to do Celebrity Big Brother, he made it sound like a hard choice, not a glamorous one. He said it was between doing the show or taking a really bad independent movie, and he was tired of those kinds of projects. In his intro for the program, he also warned people that he doesn't take orders well, basically telling everyone to be respectful if they wanted peace. He even joked he had never watched the show before and thought Big Brother was the government. And he said a close mate, Ray Winstone, told him to just be himself and have fun. He also said he likes the UK and mentioned the culture and shepherd's pie. But after the incidents, the headlines changed fast. Instead of being seen as the big name making a bold return, he was slammed. And reports suggested this could leave his career in tatters for a second time. And when a person is trying to rebuild through work, losing a huge fee is not just embarrassing. It can hit like a financial gut punch, especially if money is already tight behind the scenes. Rich Poor, the Eviction Scare, and the GoFundMe. By early January 2026, the money side of Mickey Rourke's story got even louder. Reports described a shocking decline in his appearance, and insiders claimed he was living paycheck to paycheck while facing an eviction battle. He was pictured on New Year's Day outside his Los Angeles home, with reports saying he was facing eviction over nearly $60,000 in unpaid rent. Court documents described a 3-day notice posted on December 18th demanding payment or that he vacate, and the complaint listed $59,100 allegedly owed. He had signed a lease for the 3-bedroom home on March 30th, with rent reported at $5,200 a month, then raised to $7,000 starting in the second month. The house was described as historic, built in 1926, and once lived in by crime novelist Raymond Chandler in the 1940s, near the Beverly Grove area close to the Grove and the Farmers Market. A source claimed Mickey is rich poor, meaning he can still earn money through films and reality shows, but spends fast and ends up back at square one. Then the GoFundMe appeared, and it became the center of everything. On January 6, 2026, Mickey publicly denounced a fundraiser set up in his name to cover the rent amount. He said he had no prior knowledge and told people not to donate, calling it embarrassing and humiliating. He said, "I wouldn't take a nickel of charity," and went further, saying he would rather stick a gun up my ass and pull the trigger than accept the money. He said he is not the wild man he was 20 years ago, and added, "You pay the price for your past," while insisting he didn't need strangers' money. Another report said he also admitted, "I've done a really terrible job in managing my career. I wasn't very diplomatic," and he shared that he had done over 20 years of therapy to deal with old damage. He pointed to directors like Robert Rodriguez, Francis Ford Coppola, and Darren Aronofsky as people who could speak to how he works today. Meanwhile, his manager said the fundraiser was meant as a gesture, that the money had not gone anywhere, and that if Mickey decided he didn't want it, it would be returned. But the story kept growing anyway, with reports saying it raised over $100,000 and then stopped taking donations, and later reports saying more than $90,000 was still sitting there to be returned. Mickey kept telling people to get their money back. Even his manager suggested he may have known about it, but didn't fully understand what it was at the time, which only made the situation messier and more public. A turn-in, a move, and a twist. On January 9th, 2026, another headline hit. Mickey Rourke surrendered a shotgun to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department for safekeeping, saying he would soon be leaving the area and no longer wanted the firearm. Deputies responded after a call from one of his team members met with him where he was staying, and took possession of the shotgun, which was legally registered to him. They said it was for safekeeping, and if he didn't retrieve it after a year, it would be destroyed. Behind the scenes, his manager described covering costs to move him out of the house and into a hotel, then into an apartment. And while the public focus stayed on the chaos, his team claimed something surprising happened right after the media storm. His manager said Mickey got 4 movie offers in the days after the situation went public, saying people were suddenly emailing offers when nobody had been calling for a long time. Mickey also thanked friends who reached out after seeing the stories, including Dana White and Bill Superfoot Wallace. So at 73, the picture still fits the title in a strange way. He is dealing with money pressure, trying to protect his pride, and still carrying the weight of his past reputation. While new doors may be opening again at the exact moment he looks most exposed. Now we want to know, do you think Mickey's pride is helping him rebuild, or is it making it harder for him to accept support when he really needs it? If you were in his shoes at 73, would you take the 4 new movie offers no matter what? Or would you step back and protect your peace first, and why? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories from Hollywood's fascinating history. See you next time.